When it comes to Vince McMahon in professional wrestling, who the heck knows where the line is, but I can't disagree that this overstepped it. The year is 2005, and SmackDown, they hold a 6-man number one contender match. In the match, the Undertaker gets into a bit of a confrontation with a fellow by the name of Muhammad Hassan. Why is it in wrestling that there's always the foreign bad guy? He's actually American, he's just so happens to be Arab American, and they're making him the villain, and they're booing him, they're chanting USA, like that's where he's from. They get into a bit of a tussle, and things don't really conclude the way you'd want them to. So the following week, SmackDown General Manager Theodore Long, the human ring toe, announces that The Undertaker is going to face off against Muhammad Hassan at Bash at the Beach for the number one contendership. And that week, The Undertaker will face Hassan's, kind of right-hand man, Daivari. Before the match, we see Hassan backstage with his subordinate, let's call it, and he's giving him a questionable pep talk. He's telling him that your sacrifices will not go unnoticed and you will be repaid and it will be worth it for you, and your dedication and he basically said everything except for 72 virgins. And then we get to the match. Obviously Undertaker kicks the shit out of him, but as the match ends, Hassan kneels down in the entrance ramp and looks up to the sky and he starts praying, I guess. Let me just say, before I get any further, this whole thing really tiptoed a line. Hassan is kneeled down praying to the sky, and a bunch of dudes in camo pants and ski masks run out with their faces covered, and they kick the crap out of The Undertaker. One guy even goes as far as to pull out a piano wire and starts choking him, and they're kind of making a half circle behind him, and then Hassan gets into the ring and he puts The Undertaker in a camel clutch while they're all kneeled behind, heads down silently. The whole thing is very eerie and very creepy, and definitely resembles the type of video that your computer gets flagged by the FBI if you watch those types of videos or this episode of SmackDown. So because of that super sketchy altercation, there was a huge media uproar about it, and people were pretty upset. It was, even while watching it, you knew that it was weird. So people got really upset about it, including UPN, the network that used to air SmackDown episodes, and they decided that they do not want this gimmick on their televisions anymore. Now we're at Bash at the Beach. The Undertaker's facing off against Muhammad Hassan for the number one contendership. It's a pretty uneventful match. Taker does his thing. Hassan, who, by the way, is only 24, I think, at the time, is a real young up-and-coming superstar. He could have turned into a lot more and had a really successful career. At Bash at the Beach, they have The Undertaker win the match. They have him beat up all the masked helpers, let's call them, and Daivari. And then at the end of the match, he takes Muhammad Hassan up the ramp and power bombs him off the stage. And you don't really see him land, and we never see Muhammad Hassan again. They sort of killed off the character right then and there. Even though this guy had all kinds of promise and was a young up-and-coming superstar, they let him go. He actually retired from wrestling. I think his wrestling career lasted from 2002 to 2005. And by the way, the craziest thing is he's not even an Arab guy. He's Italian.